Hi guys, welcome back. It's Kate from Living Scrunchy with Kate, and today we are going to talk all about sleep training, tips and tricks I've learned along the way on sleep with a challenging toddler. If anybody can relate, please comment below and let me know what your biggest challenge is with your child in sleep. My kids just love to snuggle, and we have co-slept with both of them. And right now we are in the midst of sleep training my second, and I feel like I probably should be a better expert at this point, but it's really hard because those snuggles are so good when they're little, right? Sleep training has just become such a hot topic that I don't even really like to use that terminology, sleep training, but really that's what it is. You're training your child to sleep through the night. It is a skill they don't have. It is biologically normal for your child to want to snuggle you, to breastfeed through the night, to wake up frequently. It's all biologically normal, which is great. And there was many months and years that I let that almost guilt take over. But the reality is that they can't sleep in your bed until they're 5 or 6, at least. We don't want that for our family. If that works for you, that's awesome. But for our kids, co-sleeping till they're 5 years old was just not in the cards. So there are a few steps that we took to get my daughter to finally sleep in her own room, in her own bed, all through the night, which is such a blessing and it is such a relief. And like I said, we are working on my son now, and we're using some of the same methods that we used for my daughter. So I hope that this helps you. Some of these I'm sure you have heard, but some of them I'm hoping that you haven't, and I'm excited to jump into it. So number one, I would say, is a hatch light or a color changing light bulb. We chose a color changing light bulb because we had a little lamp in my daughter's room that needed a light bulb anyway, so that's what we chose, and plus it was more cost effective to do that. And we use an old phone as a sleep machine, or a sound machine in her room, so we didn't really need a hatch or something like the hatch because we already had the sound part of it. But the light, you can control the colors, so you pick out whatever color you want. We chose green for when she wakes up in the morning, and we chose red for when she goes down at night, and we have just started turning it to purple for quiet time because we're transitioning out of a nap. So whenever the light bulb changes colors, she knows that it is time for bed, it is time to rest, or it's time to wake up. And there have been sometimes where she's tested out and knocked on the door and, tried to get out of her room, stuff like that. But I would say 99% of the time, she understands now that green means it's time to get up and red means it's time for bed. And this was the ultimate game changer for us. We had already gotten through sleep training with her before we got the light bulb, and I highly recommend it way earlier, maybe around a year. Kids can start to see and understand patterns by then, and I really think that had we implemented it even earlier, she would have understood earlier that green means it's time to wake up and red means it's time for bed. So I will link some of the color changing light bulbs or the hatch below, whatever works for you and your family to look into, but please start that. It was such a huge change in our consistency with sleep, understanding that we don't wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and think it's time to wake up. So staying asleep longer stretches, knowing when to wake up, it's giving them a sense of time, which is giving them a sense of control. And that's all they want. Okay, tip number 2 would be magnesium. Now, this is something that was recommended by our pediatrician, so please check with your pediatrician or your family doctor before actually implementing this for sizing on dosages and if it's right fit for your child. This is something that I was taking for a while as well, The supplement that we take is called Soothe. It's by a brand called Jigsaw, and it is considered magnesium glycinate, I believe. Here is the back if you'd like to see it. And there's just a little scoop in this one. I have packets as well that I'll show you. We started with the packets and started by using like a third of the packet. This is the scoop right here, and I just pour about a third to a half of a scoop in her drink at nighttime, and it kind of fizzes up, and it has like a raspberry flavor to it. It's good. I think it's pretty good. And they have these packets too, whatever you can find. I think they're both on Amazon. I will link them below if I can. And these, I would give her about a third to a half. I will say you might have to watch their bowels when starting this. You need to go slow because it can give them some sort of stomach discomfort at first. Magnesium has a tendency to do that. So just a little heads up. However, if you give that to your child about an hour before bed, magnesium is known to help calm and soothe your body, your nerves, your muscles. Same thing as sitting in like Epsom salt baths does the same thing. It relaxes your body, relaxes your muscles, and everybody is deficient in magnesium at this point. So look into that. Ask your pediatrician if that is something that may work for your child. It was another game changer for us to get her to unwind and calm down. So she's still given that every single night now for probably about a year before bed. And we do it about 1 hour before bed, and she really enjoys it. And with that, we are going to slide right into routine. There cannot be enough said about a solid routine. Your child is craving the control, the security. They want to feel safe before they go to sleep. And in order to do that, a solid routine is what you need. You could start with some books, or you can do bath time every night with a song, or lotion when you put on jammies. You know, have those same exact steps so that they can predict what is going to happen. They really sleep better when they have that sense of security. Okay, and number 4 is sleep training. And this has been something that I really and truly hate to admit. As a crunchy or semi-crunchy or naturally minded mom, there are so many negative articles, books, Facebook groups, whatever you want to call, whenever you're researching, there is so much negativity and shaming around sleep training. And I will say I was so resistant to sleep training my child. And you know, when they're little and you're co-sleeping and you're nursing, it's fine if that's what's working for you. But it got to a point where it was no longer working for us. And she was older. She was no longer nursing. I absolutely loved the years that I slept with her, and I would not change a thing. But I do think sleep training would have made life a lot easier. I do think that my mental health suffered because I didn't have any time where I wasn't touched. Breastfeeding, you are touched out a lot. And when there is a toddler nursing all through the night and you cannot get a break and you cannot get away, it takes its toll on you mentally. It can take a toll on your marriage and on your relationship. I do highly recommend checking out either Taking Care of Babies or the Ferber method. It is basically a 5-minute window where you check on your child every 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and so on, until eventually they learn to fall asleep on their own. And that is the goal, is your child needs to learn how to fall asleep without nursing, without a comfort item, which I understand sounds harsh and it sounds very not instinctual. It is going against what your mama heart will tell you. But on the other side of your child crying for 5 and 10-minute increments is some freedom and some rest and relaxation that is much needed when you are a new mom. And it goes on until even they're 2 years old. My daughter was not sleep trained until she was 2, and you always need that break. You need that self-care. You need that downtime, whether it is to pursue something for yourself, like a Etsy shop, or if it is to actually do some housework, whether it's to go take a bubble bath. Any of that is valid, and you deserve that time to yourself. It is biologically normal for your child to want to sleep next to you, but that does not mean you need to suffer through it if it wasn't working for you. If for some reason your mental health is suffering, if you are no longer enjoying co-sleeping, if it's affecting your marriage, if you find yourself being really short and snappy and ragey towards your children, then you really need to sit down and evaluate if co-sleeping is working for you. If it is, that's wonderful and it's beautiful. And I think it is an amazing journey to breastfeed your child or formula feed your child and co-sleep with them. I think that's a wonderful thing. However, you have to look at the bigger picture and ask yourself the question, is sleep training something I need to really look into and not be shamed from the mom on, this random moms group that I've never met. And maybe she has a child that isn't challenging, and she has a child that did just automatically sleep through the night, because it happens. I have never had one of those, but there are children that do just naturally learn to sleep on their own. And if you're having a very hard time getting your child to sleep, there is nothing wrong with pursuing sleep training. So there is the permission. I don't know who needs it, but there is your permission to really reevaluate what's working for you. Last but not least is a sound machine. You need to drown out that sound somehow. We use an app called Baby Sleep app, and we use an old phone, which has come in handy a lot actually when the power goes out, or there's a storm and the wind knocks your power out, or it just randomly flickers and your sound machine goes off. An old phone won't automatically turn off when the electricity goes out. You will have that 100% charge power if you keep it plugged in, and it has worked out so wonderfully for us to have it on an old phone. There are plenty of apps that you can Google. Right now, I believe the app that we use, though, is called Baby Sleep, and there's plenty of options. It's got like rain sounds, it has this like fan, it has chirping birds, whatever works for you. But I highly recommend checking that out. Or again, you can use something like the Hatch. The Hatch has a sound machine already built in to it, and it also has the light changing things like we have mentioned earlier in the video. Thank you so much for stopping by. That is all 5 that I have for you today. I hope there were some new ones on there that you hadn't thought about, and I hope that it really drove home some of the consistent ones that you see, that they really are important for your child to get a full night's sleep. Have a great night, guys.